So to wrap up the Moeller and the Open-Close here, this will be my last video, at least for now on this. It's important now to understand that in addition to Moeller and Open-Close, there is a place somewhere in between the two where I have found some hybridization of the two techniques to work very well as their own techniques. So I guess I would think of them as hybrid techniques that combine the two. And I'll share two of those with you in this video, and hopefully that'll point you in the direction of finding your own style, finding the Open-Close, finding the Moeller in your drumming journey for musical expression, finding each of them and then marrying them into what feels right for you based on what you play to be the unique you that you need to be, if that makes sense. Anyway, so we'll talk about twos. In theory, a Moeller 2 would be out in the German position. You would lift the stick, come down, and tap. And the upstroke can be a drop, or a finger stroke, or a wrist stroke. Those would be Moeller 2s. As you get faster in Moeller 2s using the arm, you're going to find that the arm actually slows you down and gets in the way of the motion. So let's stop there. Now let's look at Open-Close. In Open-Close, we have two strokes also. We have down and up. And we don't have any arm movement. It's just wrist and fingers, which makes it very light. But because we have wrist and fingers, we can go a lot quicker, a lot more easily in the Open-Close technique. What you're going to find, though, is that a lot of guys, as the Open-Close gets faster, will start to lift up at the elbow a little bit to add a little bit of forearm into the motion. See it? Well, once you start introducing the elbow hinge and the lift of the forearm, it's inevitable that when you lift, the wrist is going to droop, which is getting into Moeller. So now you're basically putting the two together where you have your wrist stroke, and on your finger stroke, you're lifting up with a Moeller lift. You see that? As opposed to allowing the stick to come back and Open-Close. Watch my wrist. Down, the wrist stays, the finger with the hand follows up. The wrist never droops like that. But if you lift at the elbow a little bit on the finger tap, you get that. You get that Moeller thing happening. So you're using the fingers from the Open-Close, but the Moeller in the wrist to get the two together, the hybrid technique. And I think you see that in a lot of rock drummers when they're playing eighth notes on the hi-hat or on the ride cymbal, and they're accenting the downbeat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's a very natural motion. But you don't see rock drummers going out to German and playing a true Moeller 2 or necessarily playing an Open-Close on a hi-hat like that. You see a little bit of that forearm come up from the elbow and even a little shoulder sometimes as it gets heavier and louder. So consider that the first hybrid version of the two strokes. The Moeller Open-Close for eighth notes in a rock beat type of setting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There it is. Now, the second thing that I've discovered with hybridizing the two techniques is in playing fast hi-hat patterns, say 16th notes, in the range of 80 to 100 beats per minute, which is pretty quick. And I have found that if I take that Open-Close American position and turn it up a little bit so I can get my thumb on top, like this, I can use the thumb, the pressure of the thumb, to bounce the stick a little more easily. But I'm going to warn you, this is a very soft stroke. You're not going to get a lot of volume out of this. Very soft playing, very good for a hi-hat. Like 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a... And what I have found is that in doing it like that, if I lift at the elbow just a little bit and pull the forearm up, and I almost push the stick forward and pull it back, another way of thinking push-pull, most people think push-pull as in push down and pull up, but think push forward and pull back, like this. Look at my stick. Forward. I'm exaggerating. Forward, back. I'll really exaggerate so you can see. I wouldn't do that much, but there's a slight, when I lift at the elbow and pull the forearm up, there's a slight forward push of the stick. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. And also what you need to see that I'm doing is I'm switching fulcrums between the first finger and the second finger. I've watched a lot of videos on this. Dave Weckl talks about his double strokes, and he talks about this on his double strokes, where he plays this, and if you watch closely, he's fulcruming on the first finger, and then he rolls his wrist over and fulcrums on the back three fingers, really the second finger. So if you watch Jojo Meyer, there's a video on him talking about Buddy Rich's secret weapon, and he demonstrates the same thing where he goes back and forth between these two fingers. And he actually puts his thumb on top of the stick like this. If you look close, he presses down on that stick with his thumb. That's awkward for me. I haven't figured that out yet, but I play around with it. But point being, though, is he's using a switching fulcrum. So consider pushing and pulling the stick. On the push, you're using this, the back three fingers. So the pull, you're using just the forefinger right here. So pull, pull back, pull, push, pull, push, pull. And it's actually easier to learn this technique if you start it as a pickup. A 1-E-N, a 2-E-N, a 1-E-N, a 2-E-N, a 1-E-N, a 2-E-N, a 1-E-N, a 2-E-N, a 1-E-N, a 2-E-N. And if you really relax on it, you can get pretty quick at it. It's going to take some work, it's going to take some getting used to because it's a different hand position. But remember, relax, allow the stick to shift from fulcrum to fulcrum, push it and pull it, and you might be able to figure out that motion and that speed. Great technique for playing 16th notes on the hi-hat or the ride cymbal at faster tempo. So there it is, another hybrid version of Moeller and Open-Close. Again, Moeller because you're bending at the elbow, and Open-Close because you're using fingers and wrist at the same time. It's in there somewhere. It's somewhere in between. Overall point of this last lesson is simply that. In between Moeller and Open-Close, you're going to discover a world of techniques open up to you that you can utilize. And as you go on to YouTube and you look at drummers play and you analyze drummers play, watch their hands and their forearms and their fingers. And as you understand these two techniques, you'll be able to start breaking down what they're doing to accomplish what they're playing musically. And you'll be able to look at their wrists, and you'll be able to see the motion and go, oh, I see what he's doing. He's doing Open-Close with the Moeller wrist in there. Or he's using all fingers. Or he's using all wrist, or whatever it is the drummer is doing. And as you are able to figure that out, that's going to help you learn how to play those parts, if you're studying those parts, of course, to learn. Which is usually why people wind up here. They're looking for how to play certain songs. I get that all the time from students. How do I play this song? Teach me how to play this song. And of course that opens the door to technique and brings it all the way back to the beginning of my video series. Technique, it serves musical expression. Technique should never drive musical expression. It should be the other way around. Your musical expression should drive your technique. What you want to play musically should force you to learn the techniques to make that musical expression. It should never be the other way around. There's a lot of guys out playing who are the other way around, where all they do is work on technique and they just play technique to show themselves off and say, hey, look how fast I can play this, which is great that you can play that fast, but if it doesn't serve a musical goal, then it really is just, it's like the Olympics, just showing off how fast you can do something. So I'm not an advocate of that, drumming for the sake of showing off your chops. It's always about the music. Music always comes first. Sorry to go off there, but again, good luck with that. Good luck with Moeller and Open-Close. Practice both. Get them both comfortable. You don't have to master them, but get them into your muscle memory so that you can find the in-between. and you'll start to open up a world of playing to yourself, and your journey will just start to accelerate, and you'll find so much more ahead of you. I wish you the best of luck with your technique. Feel free to hit me with any questions.